like, I don't know of anyone else that is doing how you're doing what you're doing. Like everybody else goes after the big three because they don't give themselves like excitement or permission to deep dive into an industry.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, I'm not going to fall into that trap. Or maybe you did, right? Maybe you went after like chiro gyms and dentists, and then you just transitioned to something totally different. And before we even start about how like you made it, now you're on the other side of like the 10K a month.
Yep.
I think it took you like a year of like arguing with your brain to get into gear, right? So what was your journey like when like you said, hey, I'm going to start an agency? What was that first time like?
Yeah, you're right. It's been a year of me kicking my own butt, I think. And I think if you're an agency owner out there and you're like in that phase where you're like, maybe I can do this, maybe I can't. I've been there, and well, you can dive into some stuff. I think for context, it's really important. I'm a physical therapist by trade. So I got my physical therapy degree. I practiced for a little bit, but I had started a podcast in PT school while I was in grad school because I was ticked off. I knew like I wasn't going to make the money I wanted to make. I saw myself working 8 to 8. When you include documentation, you know this, Jeff, you work with dentists, right? It's not just, hey, I see you, I talk to you, see you, right? There's so much paperwork.
You can't save as last time anymore. You got to do it new and unique each time. Yeah.
Crazy. Like, I knew I wasn't going to be fulfilled. And that led to me learning digital skills. And so I would get people to be like, hey, can you help me set up my podcast? And so I knew that there was this world of like people would pay me for stuff, but it was really just a consulting thing.
Wait, hold on. Like you're in PT school, right? Yep. And you're knowing this ain't going to work out the way you want it to. What made you decide to do podcasts? Was it like purposeful? Was it an accident? Did you just want to talk to people? Like what made you choose that avenue of doing a podcast?
Yeah. So, out of failure comes success. I started a blog and I made it all of, I think 2 or 3 posts. And I was like, holy shit, this is so much work of writing. And like, I was like, I don't even know what I'm saying. Like, why would anyone listen to me? And I'd been listening to podcasts and I was like, oh, God, that would just be so much better. I could just talk to people and like, I wouldn't have to write. Like, I can't even remember proper grammar structure. Like, what am I doing? And so I literally just like most people, like people who are in this group right now, I just started YouTubing. I went down the YouTube wormhole. How do you start a podcast? Spend a weekend. Turns out it's not that hard. Most people are afraid to put themselves out there. And it actually started as I partnered with another PT student. We were going to talk about physical therapy stuff. And after about 4 episodes, I was like, dude, I got nothing left to say. I'm a student. I don't know much. We should go interview people that know stuff. That would be way cooler, a better use of this time. And I had to convince him and be like, no, dude, it's worth it. I got on Twitter back in the day and just started messaging anybody who had like a following in the physical therapy world. That built my network to today that I'm able to tap into. Kind of a crazy, long-winded thing of how I've been able to build a network of physical therapists. But it all came from just wanting to do something different, putting myself out there.
Do you feel like using a podcast to facilitate relationship building is like easier than other ways? Like, because you can meet people in person, you can do ads, you can LinkedIn personal profile. Do you think launching a podcast is easier? And my suspicion is that it's a yes, because when you say, hey, we're doing a podcast, you want to come, that's 60 minutes of conversation. Totally. Right. Totally. And then they can hear you episode after episode after episode. So let's just say you're trying to build a relationship with one person.
Yeah.
I guess podcasts are like, it's got to be a top tier way of doing it, right?
I think if you're in B2B space, to me, it is the #1 appointment setting tool that's genuine and not I'll put it this way. I think if you view it long-term, if I want to build power partners and build relationships that way, really powerful. If it's, hey, do you want to hop on this podcast so I can, dupe you into really telling you my sales pitch? I think the word will get out eventually and people will be like, yeah, the guy's nice, but just be ready. It's just a giant, pitch at the end. So, but yeah, it's like people love it. Just like this, when you message me, Jeff, right? I'm nobody special. Like you have plenty of people in this group who are crushing it way more than me. But when you're like, hey, like you have a story to tell it, it's like, okay, let me move my schedule. Yeah, I can do it. People are willing to make those meetings.
So if someone is hesitant about asking people to come on their podcast of 0, right? Yep. 0 episodes.
Yep.
Is there like do you just call someone like, hey, you want to come on my podcast? Or like, how do you start that conversation off?
Yeah, I think it's like anything else. So I was strategic about it. I'd look for people of influence. So let's say, Jeff, for your example, you're in the dentistry space, right? You can start a dental marketing secrets podcast, very Russell Brunson, but you get the idea, right? Come up with a niche specific title. And I'd look for people who, like, dental business coaches is who I would go after. And I would want to interview them on the show, because I'm going to tell them I'm going to be sending this out in front of the dental community, right? I have an email list. You can scrape. Jeff teaches you in here how to scrape email lists. Yep. That's a great way to blast out instead of, do you want my offer right away? If that makes you nervous, I know there are a lot of people who are like, I'm nervous to go for the sell right away. Cool. What if you sent them to a podcast episode with a dental business coach expert? And now all of a sudden they associate you with that person, and they're like, well, this business expert guy, I've heard of him, and he doesn't give his time to a lot of people. And so therefore this other person must be important, because why would they give their time to that person? So just other creative ways to build authority. It makes that sales conversation that much easier when I hop on with someone and they're like, oh my God, I saw back in the day, I listened to your podcast with so-and-so, influential person in your space. Yeah. I'm not going to say it becomes a lay down sale, but it's usually like, I trust you. Right? Yeah. You heard me and associated. So I think it's a really great thing.
That like 7-hour rule, right? Yeah. Somebody's going to watch and listen to you 7 hours before you have a dollar-driven conversation. That's number one. But number two, if someone's looking to build expertise in a space in an industry, they could spend 4 or 5 years learning about it, or talk with 4 or 5 people. And if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, saying, hey, I run a podcast on blank. Would you like to come on for 60 minutes? That's a much easier yes to have those like industry building conversations and learning conversations than anything else, right? Like, read all the books you want. Talking to an expert is just so much easier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's research. You teach people to do research anyways. It's just another long form research, right? Like,
yeah. And did you find that a lot of people were like anti podcast, like they'd be mean to you, or they would just say no, or most people would say yes?
No, I mean, I think the crazy thing about a podcast is if there's one thing I've learned is most people suck at creating content. So if you can offer a way to create content for them, I'll make it, I'll interview you. And I'm doing like above and beyond kind of thing where I'll splice it for you and send it over to you so you can put it out on your channels, right? You get a VA, or if you're starting out, do it yourself. Like, you use free tools, like go like clip it, like, hey, put this on your LinkedIn, man. Appreciate the podcast interview. Would love to have you out there, or for being on, and here, go and send this, out to your list. Yeah. They love that, because most people suck at making their own content. And I think most people just want to tell their story, right? Like, everybody wants to feel like that there's stories out there. They love talking about themselves. And the coolest thing with podcasts is no one knows how many downloads you have. No one knows how many listeners. It's not like an Instagram profile. It's not a Facebook thing. So, I mean, I've been really lucky. I've had like 90+% success rate, except for going after, like, I even ran an ad campaign to try to get Bill Nye onto our podcast, Bill Nye the Science Guy.
That would have been so cool.
I ran ads like following Bill Nye targeted followers, and I was like, share this with Bill, and it didn't lead to anything. But yeah, I went for it. I shot my shot with Bill Nye the Science Guy. And but yeah, I feel like if you're genuine, this is the thing. If it's not from a place of, hey, do you want to hop on this podcast so I can then tell you my really cool offer about dental practices? Yeah, that doesn't go very well, right? People are human. You see through it. You understand what's going on now. But if you genuinely just, I'd love to learn. I want to share this out with people. I'm trying to spread the word of what we're doing. I find a very high acceptance rate. Now, if they're super influential, it might take 2-3 weeks from the book out, but otherwise they'll still do it.
So what I'm hearing is, if somebody is starting out and they feel they're very unsteady with their industry knowledge, they feel like they don't have 100% idea of what they're doing, how they're doing, the problems in their industry, like if they should be going into a niche, or they don't know how to like solidify authority or something like that. Man, just do a podcast, and 4 episodes in, you'll know everything, right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Put it on YouTube. It's the same thing. It's just like this video, right? Put it on YouTube if you need to. Like, and then I think the cool thing is if you ended up running ads. So Jeff, I think about this a lot. Like, if I were to run ads and I want to be like, hey, well, maybe I'm not finding my offers, not nailing it right away because nobody knows who I am. Well, there's nothing like running a video, me alongside Jeff Miller, of like, oh, that's that guy. He talks with Jeff Miller. I didn't think he knew anything. Oh, wow. He knows this person. So it's like you, if you were with Russell Brunson and you interview Russell, then they, put it in the ad, and it's like, oh, that's the guy that reached out to me. He's talking with, holy cow, maybe I should reach out to him.
Dude, people go to Tony Robbins and pay like $6,000 a month to take a picture with them. And then that becomes part of their advertising strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So back in the day, you graduate, or you're doing your PT You're like, this ain't gonna work. I gotta do something else. You do podcasts. You talk with your roommate 4 episodes, and you're like, I got nothing else. Let me start seeing if other people want to come into the show.
Yep.
And what happens from there?
Yeah, we started growing. I had no intention. I had nothing to sell. I didn't have an agency at the time. It was just, I was trying to find my way out, man. I think a lot of people are in here starting their agencies or contemplating it. I just needed a way out, man. I've been pretty open about this in other places. Like I deal with anxiety and depression and like
normal internet stuff. Welcome to Facebook, right?
Yeah, welcome. Just deal with like some agoraphobia type stuff where like I have moments where just like, I don't want to be in the same place all the time. And it's not even from a like, oh, I don't like this job. It's like, I just don't feel comfortable as a human being in the same place all the time. And so I was like, I need something else. I didn't know what it was until the podcast itself. I started interviewing companies, like leaders of companies. And they would be like, hey, we need a show. And how I got into Facebook ads, Jeff, was I interviewed a prosthetics company about the relationship between an amputee and the prosthetician or prosthetist, the person that makes the prosthesis or the amputee. Yeah. We had this round table. It was really cool. It was in person.
Oh, so it's like they came to you and it wasn't like an online thing. Like eventually they started coming to you.
Well, this is a local company. I went out to them. We filmed it. We shot it. Like it wasn't anything fancy. I was a little kid out there with a little microphone, just like, hey, let's tell this story. Yeah. And they were like, holy cow, you know how to do this? And like, oh my God. And they were like, they'd never seen like USBs with microphone splitters. And I was like, yeah, man, everybody gets their own microphone. And they were like, oh my God, this is insane. And they were like, we've been thinking about doing something like this. We don't know how to do it. Can we hire you? And I was like, for money? And they're like, yeah. I was like, just watch this on YouTube. I learned on YouTube. Why would you pay me? Like, don't you guys know how to use YouTube? And
hire me for money?
Like, what? And that's how I first made my first $300 a month. Was I would go and I'd help them record, and then I'd chop it up and edit it. I had no idea how to price myself. I didn't know anything. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And then they're like, we need a website. So I Googled, how do you make a website, right? I started learning how to make a website. And then the next thing they were like, we need to get this out to more people. We want to run some advertising. And I was like, great, totally know how to do that. Didn't know how to do that. So I went out, bought Dan Henry's Facebook Ads for Entrepreneurs way back in the day. And just went to town and was like, and back then that was a lot for like local business offer style, which was nothing what we were advertising. So I just kind of was like freewheeling and, we made it work, and I can't say it was a great success, but like it got my feet wet, and I was like, wow, people will pay for this. And it started to grow. Their podcast grew internationally. I think it was one of 2 like amputee related podcasts in the world. And I led to speaking gigs for some of their people. So it was really a cool experience and opened my eyes. And I thought, wow, I've done way less work doing this. And I've made way more money than I've done in PT school, where I've spent 3 years busting my ass to spend $150K of student loan debt to
I know that feeling.
Not do that. And that's when I was like, I gotta keep figuring this out. And it's been a long road. And there's another story. I run another business with my business partner besides the agency, which has given me a lot of freedom, and why it's taken me a year to kick myself in the ass to get this going. But it's been a wild ride, man. Wild ride.
So you started doing podcasts with your friend, invite people on the show, and it turns out prospecting and saying like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? Most people say yes. If you have severe doubt and you feel like you have to do something in exchange, chop up the video as a bribe. By the way, for everybody watching, that's what I do to get some people on the show, because they're like, I'm doing $1 million a month. Why would I talk to you? It's like, well, I'll chop up the video. And they're like, deal. I was like, okay. And they come on the show. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. So it's really not that hard, especially because you're having conversations, you're building industry expertise, you know what's going on. And you started doing that as a service. And you started saying yes to things just to get experience and learn how to do it. And then you said it took so you joined FAFE, right? When did you join the IC? It's been like 3 years now.
Yeah, it's been, So I knew that I was building this audience of physical therapists without really knowing it. And I don't know how, but I think it's because I started interviewing business owners in physical therapy, because there was a time where I was like, maybe I'll run my own business. Maybe I'll run my own clinic. So I'd interview all these influential business owners in physical therapy. And sure enough, like a lot of physical therapy business owners would come in and ask or would message me and be like, hey, love the show. And I'm like, that's really cool. And then I started running ads for one of the people I interviewed. They said, hey, could you run some ads for me? And I was like, yeah. And I just was like,
they said, hey, Will, could you run ads for us?
Yeah, I think I told him I'd run ads for. I think we were talking. So it's conversation. We were talking, and if I remember right, they said something like, "Hey, Will, you know, tell me about what you do." And I was like, "Well, I've run some ads for this prosthetics company." And they're like, "Oh, you know, we're trying to do Facebook ads." And I said, "I'll do it for." I'm pretty sure I said I'll do it for free. Like, I just had to get my feet wet. I was like, "Yeah, man, I can't really promise results. I have no clue what I'm doing." And then I went into the library of Dan's FAFE program and was like, well, chiropractors, kind of close to physical therapists. Let's just see if this offer works. And I tweaked it a little bit. And I can't say it sounds weird. I can't say I'm the first person to bring the assessment, like paid offer thing to the physical therapy world, but it's definitely like made a major push to like going that route where it used to just be like, do you want a discovery visit? It's a very physical therapy term. Like, do you want to just talk?
Look at your spine. Come in, get a blood pressure check. Yeah.
Yeah. Like no, like, you know, like front end offers to be able to pay for ad spend. And so it was really interesting. That worked. I got a good testimonial from that. And then they introduced me to some other people and that started. And I really have kept maybe 2 or 3 of those people since then. But we were building a Facebook group simultaneously, my business partner and I, of just teaching digital marketing skills to healthcare providers. And that took off.
Was that, so before we go into that, was that purposeful? You're like, I want to build a Facebook group. It kind of like, oh, I guess we should do this type of thing.
I was getting so many questions. My business partner and I, was a similar guy, also a physical therapist, also knew he was going to hate being a physical therapist. He was trying to learn online courses at the time, and I was studying Facebook ads, and I had maybe 2 or 3 clients. And we were in this other group together, and we get all these questions. People would tag us in these questions of like, oh, these people know this stuff. And I just kept making the same video over and over and over again for other people. And I reached out to Alex, my business partner, and he's like, dude, me too, man. This is like, it's so draining. And I was like, well, so we were just like, let's create a Facebook group. And the craziest thing, this sound crazy for those of you who are following the like build a Facebook group to get clients right away. We made free content every single day, Monday through Friday for a year before we ever had anything to, like, we didn't even know we had anything to offer. We were just literally like teaching, we were geeking out about it. And our first paid thing that we got was we had so many people reach out and say, can you guys just organize all these videos and we'll pay you for it? And I remember being like, really?
Money?
Yeah. It's like, they're in the line. Like, do you guys not know the Facebook? Like, you can just search like topics. And they're like, yeah, it's just, there's so many. If you could just organize them, we'd pay you. And we didn't know what we were doing. So we put it all I downloaded all of them, put them into like a ClickFunnels membership thing back in the day. And we made a 2-step post. Like, if we want this thing, we're going to sell it. Sold it for $100, had 100 people buy, and we made our first 10K online that I'd ever like money that I've been like, whoa, holy cow. Like, that came fast.
At that point, was that like brain breaking?
Oh, yeah.
You make $10,000 selling a thing and people would be happy about it?
For things that already made. Yeah. And were accessible for free, right? That was the thing that blew my mind, was like, I didn't do anything different. I literally just organized them and put them into categories, and people were like, thank you, this is great. I was like,
you're welcome, I think, right?
Yeah, like, taught me another lesson of how very few people actually implement things. We learned that on the other side of that. And that's why we don't really
know that very well, Will. Very well.
looking at me with inner circle. No, which led us to this whole realm of like us getting into coaching and doing more coaching, because we learned that just selling a course was great. We could make money, but we needed results, and we needed results to sell. And we weren't able to get enough people to complete it, that we had to shift our model of what we were doing. And different story of stuff. But yeah, it was an interesting journey, definitely mind-breaking. I made more in like that week than I would have as an entire month as a physical therapist.
And not working.
Right. Like, now I put a lot of work into it to make it happen, but yes. Right.
Like, you got to build it, but like, there was no fulfillment after you made the sale. Unlike with PT, you made a sale, and you got to do all the work, right?
And deal with people.
Yes. Well, that's like a whole conversation, right? Was that like your first $10,000 month?
Online, yeah. That would have been, well, yeah. And I mean, it's split between 2 people, so technically, but yeah. But then a few months after that, we launched another like group coaching program for teaching healthcare providers healthcare business owners how to do Google ads, Facebook ads, in organic social media. And that's when we started to get like 10K a month.
Gotcha. So like your journey was really like you learned accidentally how to build an audience and authority.
Yep.
Broke your brain about like what people would pay for you.
Yep.
Delivered a whole bunch of free stuff. People were like, I'm going to pay anyway.
Yep.
And you're like, cool. Well, if you want, I can teach you how to do this and keep you accountable. And people said yes to that.
Yep.
Did you ever do any done for you or just skip straight to done with you?
Oh yeah. I did done for you. I still do done for you. I just didn't have confidence in myself back then. So we had started an agency. I should say my business partner and I started an agency. It was going well. We were getting people results. It was back before we really knew. We probably started too soon, but we had we were probably doing close to 10K a month as an agency back then. But we learned very quickly, like we weren't cut out for agency life of managing clients. We weren't leaders yet. We didn't know how to manage. And really it was like a painful experience that we ran away from it and did more of the done with you, more out of a personality, lack of maturity on our part of being able to, like, that probably could be a 7-figure business right now if we had kept with it. And I don't mean that like to say like, wow, we're so special. Like, it was just, there was that many people, many people needed it. It was the hot thing at the time. And we chose the agency route and freaked out. And we ended up doing done with you, which made our first, that's how we made our first probably $250,000 was, or 250K was doing the done with you side.
So for you, it was like a personality trait. Done with you just felt a lot better because you were teaching people thing, enable them to do it. And it was, their success was on them versus done for you, where that's a totally different culture. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a conundrum. I actually really like done for you. If I have good clients that don't want to talk to me, I love it. Yeah. Because I'm in control and I get to see the results and I love it. And I feel directly responsible. If it's X amount of people at a time and I don't want to, like, I think people listening will know, like, if you have a client that's just, it's way more than just done for you advertising. And you've talked about this a lot. Like, the next level is providing sales training, providing like business operations coaching, stuff that I just wasn't prepared for. And so I would just spend so much time on things that I wasn't good at and couldn't train them on. That became frustrating. Just getting people to follow up, classic stuff, right? Was just so, it's kind of moved into what I do now, which is a morph of done for you into done with you. So the way I do things now is I onboard clients. So here's what I learned. I used to do done with you. Hey, I'll teach you. We'll set it up together. We'll do this. Okay. Here's what I learned. By week 2, hey man, so what do you think we'll get the ads up? Like, dude, we got to teach, like, you still don't know anything. Like, you can barely open Business Manager without having a problem. Like, we're going to get through this. So I realized that, then by week 4, they're like, oh, so frustrated, so tired. And they didn't want it. So I was like, what do you really want? Well, you want your ads up and going down. You want results. And then you want to learn it, even though I don't think they really want to learn it, but I don't want to keep running it for them. So
you did the hybrid.
So I make it for them. I launch it because I know the proven offers that will work. I launch it, get them results. My whole thing is, if we don't get you your money back within the first month of this launching, I don't have to teach you anything. And we don't keep going.
So is that your crazy offer gamble? Crazy
offer gamble was, okay, so for this, I was going into a niche that didn't know much about advertising, which is I work with pelvic floor physical therapy clients. So that's a big thing I moved into.
Right? So it's PT as a whole. And then of the PT got specialization. So like, for example, dentists, you have implantologists, right? Or oral surgeons or general dentistry. Doctors, you got, family doctor, you got plastic surgeon, right? But for physical therapists, niche of a niche of a niche, pelvic floor therapists, right? Is that the right term? Okay, cool.
Yep. And for broader terms, just think of their physical therapists that are women's health specialists. So they work with all kinds of things. Like if you're having pain with sex, and they also work with men, but got some stories on advertising to men that don't go very well, of dick jokes in the comments and all kinds of stuff. So we separate that out. But so the thing is, it's a newer field, and a lot of them are newer business owners and they're skeptical. And I was like, but I had one a couple of years ago that I did a test for. It was wild. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in the ads for my world, where I was like, she was like, hey, I really want to hire you for ads, but I do pelvic floor stuff. And I was like, okay. She's like, would you be willing to test it? And I was like, yeah, I can't promise you results. I have no clue. We did it. We got leads for, I think, $2 a lead.
I remember seeing results in your profile.
That first go around, this was like 3 years ago. I think she made like 21 grand off of like $400 spent. It was just nuts. And I was like, gold mine. I I remember it just didn't hit me though. I was like, that's really great. Good. And I was working on this other business, and idiot me, I just didn't focus on it. But then it came around, and we've got our other business kind of going steady. And I was like, okay, get all these PTs still like, hey, do you ever do done for you stuff? Because everyone's teaching done with you. And so there's this kind of new opportunity where it's like, nobody wants to do done for you. And I'm like, well, if you're a cool person, you're going to leave me the F alone. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'll do it for you. Like, I'm happy to do that. Can we set some expectations that you cannot talk to me very often? Yes. And they're like, yeah. And if they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, nope, we're done. Sorry. Like, here you go.
Like, can we set expectations where you cannot talk to me very often?
Like, it just drives me nuts, man. You know, you get these 9 p.m. Facebook messages like, hey, are the ads going? It's like, yes, they've been going. You're not going to get a lead every 4 minutes. It's cool. Like, you know, yeah. But anyways.
Well, let me call you at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. You're like, no, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got time to talk at 2 a.m. Can you do that, Bob? Are you gonna be able to make that call? You gonna be there?
Just, you know what? Just leave that like 15 voice messages in a row. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh man, the horror stories. But so it's a newer niche, and I had a little bit of I had 1 or 2 results that I'd done for it, and but I started to do the outbound stuff. I was going on LinkedIn, Facebook, like, hey, do you need more pelvic floor clients? And there's a huge resistance of like, oh, I don't think this will work for me. And I didn't have like overwhelming social proof. I had some results and I had some people. And so I said, well, but out of those 2, they both smashed it. And so what I said was, here's my deal. I'll spend $300 of my own money on ads. And if we don't get you, the program at the time, I think was $2,000, like $2,000. If I can't get you $2,000 with the $300 of my own ad spend to bring you clients, you don't have to pay anything. Over 85% of people that took me up on that, they made way more than $2,000, and they paid for me to then keep setting that up for them.
So to keep it going. That's interesting. So now, all right, let me take a couple steps back. So you have your done with you.
Yep.
Engaging conversations. Somebody's like, hey, can I pay you to do this? I do pelvic floor. You're like, I'm not really sure, but fine. You do your normal research. It goes amazing. And your brain goes, hey, maybe this could work.
Yep. And I needed case studies.
That's the thing I needed. You need more experience. Let's just say that. Right?
Sure.
Just more experience.
Yep.
So now you're going, let me go find people who want this. Nobody is saying yes. And you're like, you know what? Let's just go all in. I'm going to pay $300. If you don't make $2,000 from this, we're done. But if you do, you need to, you should enroll. How did you like handle that conversation?
Yeah, I said, I set the expectation. I said, hey, if, so first thing is just like anybody else, hey, what's a new patient worth for you, or new client worth to you? And on average, a lot of these, what's really cool about this niche is a lot of people expect to pay cash. They don't expect insurance to cover it. So they don't have to like, so their value tends to go up on the front end, right? With insurance, maybe it'd be more on the long-term, and we don't have to get into the healthcare world. But you know, it's at least $1,000. So I was like, cool, if I can get you at least 2 new patients, 3 new patients from this, will you then be sold on the program? And if we agree that I can do that for you, you will sign up for the program, and I'll install this into your business, the thing that just brought you this much money. I'll install it in your business. I'll coach you how to keep it going. How does that sound? If you can get me 3 patients, yeah, I'm in. And I would say, great, we're going to track that. Here's what you have to do. I knew how to onboard them really fast. And I knew they didn't care about learning anything yet until it was making them money. And so now I don't have to do that now because I've got the results, but I did this for about 15 people. And here's the thing I thought about. I was thinking, well, what would I be willing to pay to acquire a customer? Yeah. And I was like, you know, honestly, to start out, probably even $500 I'd be willing to do for like, to acquire a $2,000 customer to start. Like, I'm just getting into this. Obviously we talk about pricing, and I probably should have priced more, but I was just kind of winging it. And I was like, well, cool. How long is it going to take me to set this up? 2 hours. Okay. $100 an hour. You know, if I just measure out, like, what am I willing to pay myself? And then it's $300 left to spend. I was like, cool. Well, rather than me spending on ads, hoping people will come, why don't I just go directly and tell them I'll spend money for them and see if I can acquire them that way? But I was really confident in my ability to produce results. Yeah. I wasn't guaranteed, but I was like, it's just smashed it 2 out of 2 times, like to the nth degree. I was like, let's, and I figured, you know what, at worst I'll spend what, $1,000 and learn like, it's 50-50 or it's hit or miss. And then it's like, okay, great. We validate that.
So that line of thinking requires a lot of like, testicular fortitude. Is that like the right term? Like balls of steel. Like you as an agency are saying, I'm willing to bet my own money that I can make this work. And you as a business have to agree to buy it if it works and if I prove that it works. And if I understand correctly, you figured out how much it would have cost or you've been happy with. And said, instead of just paying Facebook that money or paying LinkedIn money, I'm going to pay my customer to do it or like advertise on their behalf. So you effectively wrote your customer a check to become your customer. Is that right?
I was writing a check on their behalf.
Yeah.
To run ads that would bring them results. Because I knew all they cared about was getting results. I thought, okay, I can either sit there on a demo deck with them for a while, or I could just and try to help them see the value, commit themselves, or I can say, look, so here's, to be honest, if anyone's out there listening, this all came from, I was reading Alex Hormozi's $100 million offer book. And, he has the value formula, which is, I can't remember, perceived likelihood of achieving the thing and the size of the outcome divided by speed and difficulty.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's the hardest part for them? That's either giving up money or doing the tech stuff. Like those are always the hardest things for them, right? And it takes forever to do the tech and they don't want to spend money. It's like, cool. Or they don't want to spend money they're not certain about, I should say. Yeah. They don't want to spend money they're not certain about. And then I was like, how do I eliminate those? Well, I do it for them and I spend the money for them to start. And I was just like, the coolest thing was I had so many messages goes, I'd be so dumb to say no to that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, like you would. I was like, I'd rather take my chances on myself than on Facebook ads to that demo. And part of it was out of there just are so few that I knew that targeting on Facebook it would happen over time. But relative to like the amount of physical therapists, it's a small group. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I would just literally go on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I had a network of some people and I'd be like, hey, look, if you know anybody in this space, like I'm offering to pay 300 of my own bucks to bring you leads, improve this. And then I'll tell you about my program. Yeah. I'd get the ones that raise their hand. I'd talk to them, tell them what's going on. There were maybe a few people who were like, I don't know. I still don't know. I was like, cool, you're not my person. Like, great. Yeah. But for everybody else, it was great. And the only ones the interesting thing was it's a gamble because we're talking with a lot of newer business owners and sales is still a struggle. Yep. So, I figured I did lose a few people and I don't think it was because the leads were flowing through. It was, there's a downfall in the follow-up in the sales conversations, which, it was cool. It was a good experience. I learned my real person is somebody who's already seeing like 10 patients. They're already like, yeah, I'm selling. And it's like, okay, cool. So that's how we did it. And I just feel like, I felt like I totally removed competition. Not that I'm a total abundance mindset guy, but when other people are like, yeah, join our program and we'll do this. And I was like, just let me spend money for you. Like, let me do this for you. Let me get you some results. Pay me with the money I make you. This was my argument. Can you, and Alex Hormozi talks about this, of gym launch is based on people paying for the program out of what they do in the first like 30 to 60 days together or something like that. And I was like, all right, Alex, I'm just going to do whatever you say.
It's interesting because everything you're mentioning is part of like my new relationship with my agency, which is I want to do less. I want to pitch less. I don't want to oversell. Now my sales calls are like 15 minutes. Yeah. And it's like, this is what we do. This is how much we charge. Let's get out of the way real fast. Let's boogie. And those have been my happiest client conversations. I'm not trying to convert somebody who's thinking about it into buying it. I'm converting somebody who's already buying into buying my stuff. Yep. And the price point, product market fit, it's an easy yes. And what I really like what you said is I'm willing to spend $500 to $700 to get a client. Why don't I just give it to them instead? I like it.
I mean, to me in my mind, I think for a lot of people, it's especially here's the cool thing. If you go into a crowded niche, right? A lot of people have tried other things and they've been burned, didn't get the results they want. There's nothing like backing yourself, right? Like, no, dude, I get it. You've been burned, right? So I think there's a whole market out there of like, have you been burned by X types of marketing companies? We got you. We'll spend the first $1,000 or whatever, $500, whatever you can afford on us. If we can't get you results, we don't move forward at all. Yeah. And you're just taking a gamble that the numbers will add up over time. So I knew even if I lost like 30 to even half of those people, I was still going to come out with, I could have sold them into one of two things. So I did end up signing some of those into done for you clients at $750 to $1,000 a month. Mm-hmm. And I think I still have 5 of those on hand. And that was really great. Like that's already well paid for all of the testing I did back in the day. Like,
so if you're doing this and like a campaign bombs, you're going to know within 24 to 48 hours. Like,
yep.
If it's going to shit, you're not going to keep spending $300. Be like, hey, 2 days in, hey, you're right. They ain't going to fucking work. Yep. Like, you know, pretty quickly, right?
Yep.
So it may not even be $300.
Right.
It may be like 100, 150.
Yeah. And I ran it all through my account. Here's the coolest thing. So all they had to do is add me to their Facebook page as an admin. That was it. I ran it all under my account. So if you're studying, you know, if you're super into business finance stuff, which is kind of the other business that we do, it's like, all right, it's coming out of your expenses. So there's pros and cons to that. You know, pros, you're bringing in more revenue, but it's going right out. So, you know, whatever. Anyways, on that, you can figure out if that works for you or not. But for me, it was such a small amount. It wasn't like, yeah, give me 10 grand. I'll spend that 10 grand right away. Like, you know, I wasn't going to be like falsify what my income looked like. It was so easy. I said, hey, we're on this call. Can you add me as an admin to your Facebook page?
Yeah.
Boom. Run lead forms straight out of that. Made it super simple. Did lead forms.
And this is after you've already done $250,000 with your done with you offer. Now you're exploring the done for you niche of a niche of a niche. You're prospecting. They would say yes. Like, great, add me as a business manager. We'll get started immediately.
Yep.
And then you'd run the ad, or it would be an ad that you already had.
Yep. Set
it up by yourself. You wouldn't have to hire a project manager, team manager. I'll do it myself. Right.
Yep. All the same images and copy. Here's the craziest thing. Yeah. I got to tell you this, Jeff, because I hope this gives a shout out to you. Yeah. Is I had one client that wasn't doing well. Like their ads, I was creating templates and all this stuff. Here's a few things I've got some from spending. It's minimal compared to other people, but like probably $25,000 on this one very sub niche of like figuring out of like, you know, doing this. I learned a couple things. One is I had some person that wasn't getting results. And I was like, man, I don't know what to do. Like everybody else is crushing it. And all of a sudden I'm on Facebook, no joke. I'm scrolling and I see this like big yellow background with it said something like agency owners use this one script to do whatever thing. Yeah. And I was like, dang, that's so to the point. And it was Jeff. I was like, holy shit, it's Jeff. Like, oh man. And I was like, so then I went to your Facebook ads library and sure enough, it's all this like color background with just straight up, this is the thing. And I was like, I got nothing to lose. Craziest thing. I went in and I just literally put $67 postpartum assessment for local, you know, whatever town women dealing with these things. Book now.
It was just literally, let's just say yellow ad, black text.
Yep. Purple background I found works best for the female market for this. White text. $67 postpartum assessment for town women dealing with these things. Crushed every other ad I had. Crushed it. Like leads came in left and right. Like I had to turn all the other ones off because they weren't producing. And this one just like leads. And so then I added it to all the other campaigns. Yeah. To this day, it is about in about 60% of campaigns, the best performing ad.
It's crazy, right?
Just the words. No. So then I was like, this is so dope. I don't have to do any creative. I don't need to hire a creative person. Like I don't need to do this. Then the other thing I tested because I got curious and it made me question like what's going on. And this might be for anybody else. And I don't have data that this is like across the board, but what I've seen is I started to think, okay, well, what's the issue? And I started just really studying ads again. I was looking at them and I was like, you know, text is just like preview text is just like getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The headline is getting harder for me to like understand what's going on. And now they've removed the text limit. You know, it used to be 20% text and images back in the day.
Now Facebook is like, whatever you want, give me money.
Yeah. And I was like, there's no real estate to just tell people what the offer is. And that's the only real estate we really get. And so then I was like, interesting. What if I combine the two? What if I had an image with a banner with the offer on it?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, what if I do that with video? And so I got into Canva. Canva has these super cool, like 15-second, 10 to like minute long video clips that you can use. And for pelvic health in particular, where people are like, well, what the hell is this? Have to get naked or people like touching me in weird places. I found this really cool one of this lady just like essentially like palpating hip bones and like doing this stuff. And they're clothed and on a table. It looks comfortable.
Like kind of thing.
Yeah. And so it's just this like 15-second clip, by far the second best performing outside of color background with just the like the thing. But I've just found the power of being able to visually add in the offer in your image has way outperformed just regular images. It's been wild of like, you broke my brain on like, the offer's got to be front and center of what it is. And once I've done that, so I share that just because I had to give a shout out to you. Like, it was
appreciate it.
Insane how easy that was.
It's been like a crazy journey because like in this stage, I'm just simplifying everything and focusing less on, like, I saw everybody on stage, like making their millions, stuff like that. And then like 30 days later, they're calling me saying, how come I have no money? I'm like, you got $1 million. They're like, yeah, but we spend it all on getting clients. I'm like, what? No, dude, stop spending all that money. Like, make your business stupid simple. And then I'm like, I wonder how stupid simple I can make my business. And now for all of our clients, we don't even request Facebook ads, Facebook page to their account, or we don't request anything from them. It's the same ad for everybody. And the ad is literally just the offer, nothing else. We don't even have like copy anymore.
I saw some of your new ones. Just download this. I loved it.
That's what my client getting ads look like.
Yeah.
And that's what my customer getting ads look like. And like, I think like at a deep level, the closer we can get the offer to the customer, the more we know if the offer works. If it's like, we're looking at like cost per click and cost per view and scrolling and percentages, and then we got all this copy in the way, like that is a very false flag or false positive. Yeah. But if it's just this, and that's what they're saying, then we know we need to change this. So if your ads don't work, it's not the 67 is probably too much or too little. Let's change it to 49 or 97 or 119. So with our dentists, like what we're doing now is like every 2 weeks, we adjust the pricing. Too many leads, push it up. 2 leads, we push it down. They get it. They're on board. They think it's awesome. And it's like the easiest conversation I've ever had. And I'm super happy that I got the opportunity to break your brain, because it sounds like that is a big like moment in your agency journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, outside of like, it's just been, how do we make it I just want to make it as repeatable as possible, like you said, and really learning from you and your recent stories or posts about, breaking everything down and like starting over was really empowering to me. And it's, I think for a lot of people, if you're listening, it's like the power of your own story is really, really helpful for people to want to work with you. Like, I'd already been working with Jeff and knew Jeff, but even to hear that again, I was like, man, if I were going to invest in a bigger program again, I know where I'd go. Like, that's real. That's what I feel like. It's not, hey, I just hit another 9 jillion X a year. And I'm like, cool, man. I can't relate to that. Like, I don't like we do well, but I'm not like, I don't need a Lambo and I don't need all this stuff. Like, I just really want something simple. And so I just a huge shout out to you, Jeff, for being willing to share that, man.
It's crazy how like I've seen a lot of programs that like just stop the journey or stop the updating or stop the conversation. And I was part of some of those programs. I was like, I hated this. Yeah. Like, stuff changes and now you're gone, I'm gone, and you're hitting me up for money. Like, come on, man. Like, no. And so what I want for people in the IC is to experience that. And that's why I'm like IC version 6, right? You get to see all the ads. It's all there. And it's all 5-minute videos and everything. And I've heard that story multiple times from multiple people. And because of it, like, you're making a ton of money. Your business is super simple. You got margins, right? Yep. You can afford retirement, feed your family, and go to Disney for New Year's if you want, whatever it is. Syed is killing it. We've got a whole bunch of people, and it's really cool to hear that you don't need complications. You need successfully simple. And I really like that. But let me just double check the bullet points real fast. I don't want to leave anything like to chance.
Yeah.
We talked about how you're doing 10K a month or 3 months straight, working less than 10 hours a week. That's with your pelvic floor business. Is that right?
Yep. And I have a few general physical therapy people who have hopped on, but pretty much same offer, same stuff. Yep.
But you got all those physical therapists, all those pelvic floor therapists, PTTs, right?
Yep. You got it.
Right.
Yep.
Entirely by prospecting and saying like, hey, we got this proven system. Let's have a conversation. I'm the only guy out there willing to put up his own money. But if it works with these measurements, you should enroll. And everybody's sure, right?
Straight up. So I had a couple of people I knew who were already owners. So I reached out to them. That was the first place I started. But then classic old Facebook funnel, man, just hopped into the pelvic floor Facebook groups. I don't know why they let me in. Obviously, I don't look like I'm probably one, but I'm a PT, so I had a way in, which was helpful. But I could have used Instagram. I could use whatever. And I just used Facebook, and I added all of them. And I started sharing, hey, if you're a pelvic floor PT owner, I'll spend $300 for you. Like, do you need more patients? And, you know, we're in a space where like, they don't get taught business. They don't understand. They're just like dentists. It's like, they're not waking up like, I know how to get leads. They're just like, I'm just hoping word of mouth's going to win. Right. They're like, yeah, we'll do it. And it's like, okay, well, let me show you a different way. And, this is Facebook funnel, right? Like just, I wasn't being scammy. And then as soon as I get case studies results, I would just share. And even if I didn't have like, just simple stuff, like I would just screenshot the ads manager and highlight the like lead column and lead cost, right? Like nobody even knew who it was, but people were just like, whoa, that's cool. And it was sincere. I wasn't just making up like screenshot stuff, but like, you know, and I just talk about like, hey, here's the power of this and why this is important. And here are the pitfalls of this. And I just got people like, oh man, I saw your post and, my wife's one of those people, or, I'm that person. And, can I talk to you? And simple Facebook funnel going through. Yep. Didn't post anybody else's group. Didn't do anything. Like just kept it on my profile.
Love it. The crazy offer gamble. We just went over that.
Yep.
How he now converts skeptical and price resistant prospects into happy paying clients, 85% conversion rate. We talked about that. How you started a podcast that has led to massively profitable power partnerships. We talked about that. I think we nailed everything on the bullet point without having to like interrupt the story at all. Well done, Will.
Yeah.
A+.
Thank you, Jeff. I should say that podcast. So what's been really cool is I now do advertising for 2 big business coaching groups in the physical therapy world because of the podcast, that now whenever they're like, oh man, we got this client's doing really well and they need some help with ads, they just bring me in, pay me to go teach them how to set stuff up. So it's been really powerful long term. So I want to say like, it wasn't just, well, I met all these people, it was great, but like it's led to, I guess it's direct, but like indirectly leading to quite a bit of business over time as well.
That's usually how it works. Like go be a sociable human being, talk to people, and then over the course of time, business will transact normally. Love it. We got a guy, Dr. I don't know why I said doctor, Vaughn Swit. I don't know his name. I'm not going to pronounce it. There's no way. Okay. But he says, this sounds great. Awesome job.
Thank you.
Would a natural progression be to create your own brand for this and just sell the leads? So in my version, right, of this, the answer is yes. Like we are now establishing like a national brand, just like Jerry or Esurance, which is sold for 40 million. And we run all of our campaigns for all of our clients under this brand. As a side note, by the way, in our niche, the comments on some of our ads are quite colorful. And there will be literally people saying all dentists are scammers. Like they'll say that. And I say, look, Mr. Johnson, when that happens on your page, it's a 5-alarm fire. Happens on my page, you know what happens? I click delete. And they go, thank God, right? So for you, Will, is there like a natural progression to creating your own brand and then just selling the leads and doing something like that? Or are you totally fine doing it for a done for you?
Man. That's a great question. I hadn't thought about it. So it's something for me to think about. My actually next move was going to be, if I keep this steady pace going, is rolling people into bringing some experts in the pelvic floor space who are business coaches and roll them into a coach because they need continued business coaching. So that would be the next thing. But I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think it's the fastest growing niche within physical therapy. And so the only downside right now is there's just not, like there's chiros galore. There are chiros are pretty much forced to have to go into business for themselves. There's not a like go join a hospital network. There's no go join the whatever. But physical therapists there is. So the entrepreneur side is much smaller. It's growing, but it's much smaller. And so just the pelvic floor. Then think about pelvic floor, which is like this of that small niche. So I'm trying to figure out like, does that make sense yet? I hadn't even thought about it. So I really appreciate the comments. Something to think about.
Some break your brain again. There you go.
That's why I come here. Get my brain broke.
Someone has a question. By the way, guys, we have like 5 minutes left. So if you have questions, now is the time. Somebody says, wait, how does it go? You pay for the ads, and when they make sales off your leads, how much do you get for the leads you paid for? How do you do can you repeat how you do that? We'll give you $300. And if it works, $2,000, how does that work?
Yeah. So I'd say, Jeff, hey, here's the deal. I understand that you're probably skeptical if this will work. And I totally understand that. Have you ever run Facebook ads before? No, I've never done it. Or I've had bad experiences. Great. So I totally understand that. And here's the deal. I want to win your business. And so what I'm going to do is I already have the ads that are, that work. And here's what it is. We're going to run $47, $67 postpartum or pelvic floor assessment ads. All you have to do is add me to your Facebook page as an admin. Is that okay? Yeah, I can do that. Cool. I'm going to have you do that here at the end of this. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to spend $300 of my own dollars. And what I expect is we get leads for about $10 a lead. That should bring you around 30 leads over spending this $300. Mm-hmm. Now that varies, so don't quote me on that, but somewhere between 20 and 40 leads is what we expect. I've seen on average, most people close about 5 of those people into new patients. Here's the deal. I'm going to spend it all out of my account. I'm going to run it through my account. If we get those 5 patients and you've made, your $5,000 that we expect that you'll make, I'd love for you to use 2,000 of that chunk to put into going into this program so you can keep this machine going. Does that sound like a fair deal?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And then I guess there's a chance they could run away, but in my mind, they're idiots. Like, okay, well,
now you've got a screenshot and case study saying, hey, we did it again.
We did it again. And you get them addicted to, like, do you know how long it takes me to get 5 new patients going and doing workshops or lunch and learn stuff? And it's like, the only hiccup we always see is like, oh, there's just so much work to follow up with people. I'm like, cool. It's a lot of work to be broke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
painful.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of work to be broke too, man. Like, what do you want to do? Pick your poison. Which one you want to do? Like, I don't, like, that's, and I don't say it that way, but I try to be honest with them. Like, well, would you rather call people that have a higher interest, or you want to go run around the streets, pimping your services out? Either one works. Like, I know which one I'd choose. But I get them. The key is I get them addicted to result of like, whoa, these people came in, they did pay me money. For a lot of them, it's just skeptical of like, it sounds too good to be true. And it's like, well, let me show you. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, I got to have this. Like, I don't know how to do this, but I got to know. And the cool thing is I thought I would do done for you. And then I realized like, I really don't like talking with humans as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. And so now I sell them off of done for you unless they're just super cool and chill. And I'm like, yeah, I'll keep doing it for you. And then I move them on to $750 or $1,000 a month, depending on what they're, whatever I talk with them about. And really I just keep it going. That's all I do. I just shift the ad over into their account. So it's not coming out of my expenses. It's out of their expenses, but that's it.
I think the coolest part about all this is like, the answer is never in something more complicated. Simple works. And if it didn't work, you didn't make it work. And I think you found a very simple, easy way to prospect future clients, get them on board, get them paying you money and never getting them to leave you. Like,
yeah. The biggest thing with this is they're thinking, what's the catch? Right. Yeah. So your only objection is what's the catch? And you just have to explain to them, the only catch is I'm taking the risk and you're not.
Yeah.
And it's not a catch. I just want to do it differently. I want to earn your business. It's really how I phrase it. I'd love to earn your business. Is it okay if I earn your business rather than ask or demand your business?
Yeah. Or have an hour-long sales call where I got to employ all sorts of deep psychological tactics. And honestly, like if you spend an hour and a half on a sales call plus the follow-up, you're spending $300 anyway. You might as well do it in 15 minutes. Well done. Will Boyd, absolute pleasure. A+ and all this, like, I tell you what, I had no idea that you did $250,000 when they're done with you because you never share your numbers, which I totally get. That's not in your culture, but A+, well done.
Dude. Well, Jeff, we hit $1 million mark in that business. Not in 1 year, but over the course of like 2.5 years, we did $1 million through that.
It's still fucking awesome, dude. Like,
yeah, it was cool. It's been cool. It's also business coaching stuff too, but like a lot of it was through the done with you ad side of stuff, which was cool.
Dude, well done. A+. Super happy for you. We're gonna end the live. For anybody that has any questions, Will's not gonna stick around and monitor the comments. So like, sorry guys, it ain't gonna happen. Like I've seen comments come in later and stuff like that, but feel free to rewatch this 1,000,000 times. If you're starting out, Will talked about how to start out. If you're trying to switch a niche, he talks about that too, or get more specific at clients. Overall, great interview. We're gonna end the broadcast and stay on board for debrief. Everybody, peace out. See you later. Bye.